When you set out on this journey, what were your goals? What were you trying, in your mind's eye, what were you trying to achieve? What outcomes were you looking for?
We made it very clear for ourselves what our core economic engine is. And we understood that we have to align all parts of our business behind that engine. And so we set clear goals to what market share of the available click volume in Estonia we want to get and by what time. So this goal drives all our actions.
So in order to drive that kind of business, what sort of things are you looking to measure?
A lot of things, Ian. It sounds simple, but it's not actually that simple, because deciding what you need to measure is one of the more difficult things there is.
Right.
So we realized we need to measure the color click cost, the black and white click cost, know this by model. We need to be able to group models into families to understand which sort of customer needs segment they fit into. We need to understand the industry specifics that I briefly mentioned about already. We need to understand now next to all of this, we need to also understand how to prioritize these measurements. What is the area of biggest impact? Like, what click cost on what model type is the most relevant? So prioritization across all of those things is very, very important. We need to, of course, understand contract specifics, the pricing of different contracts, the start, end dates, how do we measure the whole device life cycle, its profitability within the current customer contract? How do we determine which devices we can use again, which spare parts we need to stock based on what is the current run rate for this model range and that model range, which models we would need to phase out because of specific deficiencies that they have relating to that the businesses that they're used at. Measurements about our account managers' performance, their pipeline, of course, the traditional things, but also how do they understand which customers generate the most value in terms of service contract in their portfolio.
But it sounds exhausting. I mean, there's so much insight that you're trying to capture.
Correct.
I mean, do you have time to do all of that?
If we didn't have a tool set, no, we wouldn't be able to do that. That's the problem with data. It is, once you get into it, you realize there's actually quite a lot of things you need to be looking at and quite a lot of relationships. And you can't, it's not you can do it, like a one-off thing, like this really complex Excel sheet. But then you can't repeat it, so it has to be repeatable, it has to be automatic. So it has to be part of a standard system that does all the crunching on your behalf and delivers you an easy to understand end result that can prompt your action.
So tell me, Tonis, when we were looking at these goals, what was the reality you were facing in your business at that time?
The reality was that my service manager asked me, Tonis, yeah, I understand it's nice to put in all this data into the system and really take care of it, but why do we need it? I mean, isn't it important that we perform our service quickly and the customer is happy? Why do we need to take all this extra hassle to input data very diligently? And that, you can hear this from the account managers also. Well, I made the deal. I mean, who cares if I didn't type in all those fields? So it's taken a fair bit of time to demonstrate to people what is the value of being able to measure our business and measure our success. And for them to realize that goal setting is irrelevant if you can't measure your progress towards these goals.
And data has a big role to play in that?
Data has a very big role to play because one can go on gut feeling But gut feeling doesn't tell you what's the difference between a furniture manufacturer and a bread manufacturer in terms of print. Or what's the difference between a commercial bank or insurance company? Because their business processes have evolved and are evolving constantly, and the way they use print in their workflows is different. And for us, it's important to understand which of those print workflows are actually relevant for us to take our business towards our goal. Which processes require color? What's the quality level of color that they require? Determines what sort of price can we ask for our color prints. What's their billing system like? How do they prefer to be billed, or how do they want to finance their back office operations, like print or outsource them? So there's many details that are all different for those different customers. So being intimate with them, understanding how they run their business, what's important for them, is very relevant.
So, Tonis, what other options and alternatives did you consider before moving ahead with this development?
We considered several spreadsheets. Of course, enhancing the base systems like our ERP system or service management system. Also visualization platforms like Click. All of them have common problems. They are restricted or limited in terms of criteria you can add in, or custom things you would want to have and add in. And so it often, we always ended up with doing the custom things we wanted in Excel.
Right.
Or we could have also done core coding and achieved that by building our own code base, which would be very difficult to maintain in the long run.
Some of the service management systems now that are available are quite comprehensive on their reporting. Again, was that not something that you could do?
Yes, they are for basic things. So how many parts consumed, how many service orders fulfilled, same as the financial ERP system is good at reporting on the financial aspects. But how do you put those two together? And then how do you apply, for example, device model groupings that you want to have? How do you have a slider with a KPI to monitor the improvement of some aspect? So such specifics, our business specifics, are very difficult to insert into those systems.
Anybody that's used a spreadsheet and dragged data out of a back office system knows how difficult the quality of data issue can be. What has your experience been of data quality issues in this journey you've gone through?
Yes, and another very important thing. We discovered a lot of deficiencies in our data because of the mindset that I mentioned before. People not realizing the importance of data. So the service engineer says, okay, yes, there was a wrong serial number, so I on the work order, so I just replaced the parts, but I didn't mention to anybody that I actually recorded the parts to another serial number, or the device location had already changed. I didn't bother to change that. Toner deliveries going astray, or device gets returned and we realize that we've sent them 3 or 4 sets of toner that they hadn't used. So thankfully they hadn't sold it off, or it hadn't been lost. So you actually realize how many gaps and holes there are in the data that you own in your ERP and especially the service management system. So that was a wake-up call. So we've spent now more than 2 years to try to change processes, make sure people appreciate the importance of data being input timely. Think of how we can actually capture more of the data through automatic means and reduce the human impact of potential human error. So we realized that our data was quite poor, to be honest, and I didn't think it was that poor at all. So I realized how many things, actually things that you don't pay attention to just go on by themselves and are actually very poorly organized once you look at it.
Did you have all of the data that you needed to serve this process?
No, we didn't. So that's why we had to also change some of the processes, like delivering toner to a serial number rather than to a stock location. Understanding the value of devices being connected to e-maintenance. You can connect a device to e-maintenance, but what's the value if you don't use that data? Mm-hmm. So understanding how to tune the toner delivery warnings, how to handle the cartridge devices versus toner based. So yeah, many changes to our processes, all with that goal to get better quality data coming, and knowing that having this data philosophy or information philosophy, that knowing that if the data is bad, you can't get to the results, so you need to fix them. Fix data, fix your processes, now manipulate your data, interpret it, deliver the results, so only then the result can be something that can reliably trigger a relevant business action.
So how are you incentivizing the people in your organization to embrace this new way of thinking?
A very important point. We realize that we will not be successful if all of our organization is not aligned to our goal. So we are incentivizing our account managers based on the profitability of the NPS and service contracts. It used to be just sales for them. So you sell more units or more, you make more profit from sales, you make more money. Now they also make more money if they sell more profitable service contracts.
And the service managers and people too?
Same for them. So service engineers, part of their pay plan is also the profitability of the NPS or full service contracts that they have performed service requests on. So full alignment. If the company goal is profitability of the service contract, so is it the goal of the account managers and also the service engineers. So everybody's aligned.
What parts of this journey are you managing data on? Are you looking at the profitability of accounts, of devices, of contracts? How are you doing it?
All of them.
All of them?
Yes, we look at profitability of accounts, of contracts, different types of contracts, and on devices and models and model families, and on the black and white click and color click.
So you're separating out black and white and color click?
Yes, of course. We need to understand what models perform better for color click and black and white click, and also to understand how can we price our color click in competitive situations in certain industries. The coverage aspects and quality requirements, etc., and technology specifics, laser, cartridge, inkjet, such things.